Well, I was gonna ask about, you guys in particular this year, but then the other sort of comp I wanted to make to this was Brooklyn and this run that they're on, and how if you ask those guys, and we sort of did, in November, where they were with everything, I don't think their answers would be very positive. And now you look where they are, and they're are arguably a contender, to be a front runner for the championship.
I said it yesterday, man. They're fucking tier one.
They're tier one. They're tier one. And so I think when you look at, where you guys are right now, but I just think in general, does it also feel like it is more than usual? Like, oh, if we can just, flip the switch a little bit and just run off 5 or 6 in a row, then we're back in it in a way that, we may not have been in another season.
I mean, shit, you a 6-game win streak from being in the top 3 or top 4. Like, and it sucks, honestly, because it's like you always got that in your back of your head. But also with the, 2 things that I don't want to forget is going to 10 for the play-in changes the 7 to 11 spot, right? So if you're in, what are we, maybe 11 or 12, we might be 3 games back from 6 and 5 games back from fucking the last place in the conference.
Potentially Wembanyama.
Right. So now it's like, that's a whole nother dynamic. And 2, about Brooklyn, so we played them early and we played them recently. The game has changed completely to where it's not the juggernaut, where it's like, just come up, Brown's going to ISO you to death, Kyrie's going to ISO you to death, whatever. Like, the great teams in the league are playing great fucking team basketball. And that's the biggest difference that I've seen, especially this year, because we played Brooklyn when they looked like they didn't want to be there and they hated each other, and Steve was there and you could tell it was, messed up. And then we played them recently where it was just like they're on a rhythm and they're on a clock and everybody's bought in and everything's flowing the right way. I think those are the best teams that are bought in completely to everything they got going on.
I like the word friction. There was friction.
A lot of friction. There was a lot of friction and dysfunction. And you used to just throw a mask on it and win a couple games and, have some superstars that could bail you out. But with the way the game's going, I think you got to be playing great team basketball to make it through the regular season.
I think Boston's another great example of that.
Absolutely.
They started to shift that last season. Yeah. And that's not all on Joe, but Joe is sort of really bought into that idea of player ball movement, not just matchup hunting. Now, obviously in the playoffs, maybe it's a different story. Yeah. But night to night, Jalen's getting 27, Jason's getting 30. Yeah. But like everybody else is still eating. Yeah. The ball moves and they're taking threes like that. I think you're spot on that. And I think some of that too, by the way, like we hit a weird period that when James was at his peak, when Harden was at his peak, where it was like, oh, you gotta ISO. And then Luka comes along, it's like ISO. Yeah. And now I think that there's a little bit of a balance there. Yeah. There's a little balance.
It's a lot more balance. Golden State winning it with Steph by himself, changes everything again, because you say, okay, it's the ball movement, it's the splits, Steph is probably the most guy to get off of it. That copycat league again, people are gonna try to adjust to that. It's harder to guard, and I think it makes your defense better when everybody feels involved and engaged and everybody's eating and they can accept, where they fall in the ranking of the team. You know what I mean? So, but Boston just got there last year. They had the Kemba year. They had the Kyrie year where they were trying to figure out who was going to be, and nobody thought that those two guys could play together. And now, they're everybody's favorite. So it takes some adjusting for sure.
As always, thank you for listening to the show. Please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Wondery, wherever you listen to your podcast. We appreciate you guys.